Two teenage girls secretly recorded the man who would go on to kill them. Police had the video, they had his voice, and they had the timeline. And still, for more than 5 years, nothing happened. No arrest, no answers, just silence. This isn't a story about missing evidence. It's a story about how close the truth can be and still slip through your fingers. Because in Delphi, Indiana, the killer wasn't hiding in some dark corner of the world. He wasn't a stranger passing through. He wasn't a shadow that vanished into nothing. He was right there, living in the same town, walking the same streets, possibly interviewed from the very beginning. This case matters because it forces a deep, uncomfortable question. What does this say about our systems and about us? When the clearest evidence imaginable still doesn't lead to justice? What happens when we do everything right and it still isn't enough? This is the story of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, and the case that continues to haunt an entire town and everyone who learns about it. Before this became a national headline, before the internet dissected every frame of video, before podcasts and documentaries and endless speculation, Abby and Libby were just kids. They were best friends, the kind of friendship that forms naturally, without effort, built on inside jokes, shared classes, and spending hours together without ever getting bored. Libby was confident. She liked technology. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. Abby was quieter, more reserved, creative, and deeply loyal to the people that she cared about. They were 13 and 14 years old. They weren't troublemakers. They weren't rebellious. And they weren't doing anything dangerous. That detail matters. Because when cases go unsolved, there's often an attempt, subtle or not, to rewrite the story afterwards. To search for mistakes, to imply that something could have been done differently. But on this day, there was no bad decision. Just two friends going for a walk. On February 13th of 2017, it was a cold but ordinary winter afternoon in Delphi, Indiana, a small town where people know each other, where things feel familiar, and where serious crime feels distant. School was out for the day. Abby and Libby asked to be dropped off near Monon High Bridge Trail, a popular local spot where people walked, took photos, and generally spent time outside. Nothing about the request raised any alarms. Around 1:35 p.m., they were dropped off near the trailhead. They planned to walk, take pictures, and just enjoy the afternoon. Libby posted these photos to Snapchat. One of those photos showed Abby walking across the old railroad bridge, hands in her pockets, relaxed, and unaware of what was coming next. It looked like a normal post, the kind you scroll past without a second thought. At the time, no one knew it would become one of the most recognizable images in modern true crime. Sometime after the photo was taken, something changed. Libby noticed a man approaching them on the bridge. The Monon High Bridge isn't just a casual walkway, it's narrow, it's elevated, and with no easy way around someone once you're on it. Libby had sensed something was wrong, and instead of panicking, instead of screaming, or instead of running, she turned her phone on. She began recording, quietly and intentionally. Now, the video is short, it's grainy, and it's distant, but it clearly shows a man walking towards them. And then there's the audio. A calm, male voice says, "Guys, down the hill." No shouting, no anger, no rush, just authority. In those 4 words, you can hear control. And that moment, those few seconds, would become the center of the entire investigation, because the girls didn't just leave behind clues, they documented the person responsible. Later that afternoon, the girls didn't meet their ride. Phones went unanswered, family members became concerned, and at first, there was confusion, the kind that comes with small delays and missed connections. And then there was worry, and then fear. Relatives eventually went to the trail themselves, searching and calling their names. By evening, the police were notified. Search efforts began, but eventually paused due to darkness and difficult terrain, and the night passed with no answer. The next morning, February 14th, searchers returned, and not far from the bridge, off the main trail, on private property near Deer Creek, they found Abby and Libby. The search had ended in the worst way possible, and the entire town felt it. 2 kids, 2 families, 1 quiet community suddenly thrust into national attention. Law enforcement confirmed the deaths but released very few details. The cause of death was not fully disclosed, and police said information was being withheld to protect the integrity of the investigation. But that silence created a vacuum. And in that vacuum, speculation grew. Rumors spread, online theories exploded, and people tried to fill in the gap themselves. What the public didn't know was this: the killer had been recorded, and yet days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years, with no arrest. Police released a still image from Libby's video. The man became simply known as Bridge Guy. They released a short audio clip, just those 4 words of "guys down the hill." The public listened to it over and over again, trying to hear something more: an accent, age, a clue. Then came the sketches. The first sketch showed an older looking man. Years later, a second sketch was released, this time depicting someone much younger. Police said the suspect might resemble a combination of both. Instead of narrowing the focus, confusion spread. People argued over which sketch was correct, who it resembled, who it didn't resemble. Thousands upon thousands of tips poured in, and the FBI eventually became involved. This case was covered nationwide, and still, nothing. Years passed. 2017 became 2018. 2018 became 2019, and then 2020. Over 40,000 tips were submitted. Online communities dissected every frame of the video, every word of audio, and some people became convinced that they had solved it. Others accused innocent individuals. The pressure mounted. But the killer remained free. And that's what made the case so haunting. Not what police lacked, but what they had. Then, in October of 2022, which is more than 5 years later, everything changed. Police announced an arrest. His name was Richard Allen, and immediately something felt wrong. Not because of what he had done, but because of who he was. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't living under a fake name. He lived in Delphi, less than 2 miles from where the girls were killed. He worked at a local CVS pharmacy. People recognized him. Some had interacted with this man for years, and he blended in completely. But one detail shattered public trust almost instantly. Richard Allen had already spoke to the police in 2017. He admitted he was on the trail that day. He admitted he was there around the same time as Abby and Libby, and somehow he walked away for more than 5 years. That single fact changed how people saw the entire case, because it raised a terrifying question. How many times did people walk past him? How many times did people speak to him? How many people trusted him without knowing? Prosecutors allege that a bullet found near the bodies matches Allen's firearm through ballistic analysis. Witnesses reported place a man matching his description on the trail. The timelines overlap. Allen has pleaded not guilty, and it's important to say this clearly: an arrest is not a conviction. The legal process is still ongoing. But even without a final verdict, the damage is already done, because this case isn't just about guilt. It's about delay. Why did it take so long? How does a case with video evidence, audio evidence, witnesses, and a local suspect remain unsolved for years? Was it human error? Was it tunnel vision? Was it miscommunication? Or was it something more uncomfortable? The idea that sometimes, even with evidence staring us in the face, we still miss. The Delphi murders haunt people because they feel preventable. Because Libby was aware enough to record, because the girls stayed together, because they left something behind, and still, it wasn't enough. Small towns feel safe because familiarity replaces vigilance. When everyone looks ordinary, danger blends in. The man on the bridge didn't look like a monster. He looked like someone you wouldn't notice twice. And maybe that's the most unsettling truth of it all. If Richard Allen is the man in that video, how many times did people walk past him? How many times did people talk to him or trust him? And how many other cases hinge on the same uncomfortable reality that sometimes the truth is right in front of us and we still miss it.